Good afternoon, everyone. The MAT 2019, the fourth examination of MAT that was held in today is successfully conducted, and we are here with the exam analysis of the same. So as you all know that MAT is conducted 4 times a year in February, May, September and December. So this was the fourth season of the examination, and today it was held in a computer based test mode. So it is held in 2 modes, the paper based test and computer based test. So today was the computer based test, and here we are with the exam analysis of the same. So first of all, I would like to ask you how was your paper, how many questions did you attempt. So if you're watching the video, please post your number of attempts to get an idea how was the difficulty level of the paper from the aspirants' points of view. So here are the highlights of the examination. It was in a computer based mode, and you know that it had 200 questions. There were 5 sections of 40 questions each. Marking scheme was 1 mark per question, whereas there was a negative marking of 1/4 for every incorrect answer. So when we talk about the distribution, as I already mentioned, there were 5 sections, namely language comprehension, intelligence and critical reasoning, mathematical skills, data analysis and sufficiency, and Indian and global environment. Each of the sections having 40 questions each. Hi Harshvardhan, 167 is a very good attempt. Most of the institutes count your score in only 4 of the sections. Your total overall score is calculated based on 4 of the sections. GK is taken by some of the institutes. So if you could exclude your number of attempts and then tell, that would be a better number. Okay, so each of the sections had 40 questions, 1 mark each, and there was a negative marking of 1/4 for every wrong attempt. So talking about the difficulty level of the paper, so section wise when we talk, the language comprehension section was moderate. There were 5 reading comprehension passages. There were questions on parajumbles, sentence correction, etc. and it required a good amount of time to solve those questions. The length of the passages were around 300 to 400 words per passage, and considering the scrolling part, it took time to attempt those questions. When we talk about intelligence and critical reasoning section, again this section was moderate because on one hand the puzzles that were asked were very easy. However, the critical reasoning part was slightly time consuming, and hence we would rate the overall section as moderate and not easy. Mathematical skills, it was easy to somewhat easy to moderate. There were very few difficult questions. Most of the questions were doable. So if one would have spent time on the section, could have solved majority of the questions. Talking about data analysis and sufficiency, again it was easy to moderate, not very difficult questions, and except one set, one of the sets which was on job scheduling, the remaining section was easy, and even the data sufficiency questions were easy. So we would rate this section as easy to moderate. And talking about the Indian and global environment section, the general awareness section, it was easy because most of the aspirants must have prepared current affairs, and all the questions were from current affairs, which is from October to December. So most of the questions were from that period. So if one was prepared with the current affairs, one could have easily solved 25 to 30 questions. Harshvardhan, it depends on your performance in the examinations. If you do better in MAT, then go for MAT, or else you can go for CMAT. Now let's discuss what came in the examination, what was asked in the different sections of the paper. So English, the language comprehension had 40 questions, of which 20 questions were from reading comprehension itself. So there were 5 reading comprehension passages. One was on climate change, another was on public distribution system. It talked about how the public distribution system in India is not very efficient. It is limited to urban areas, but not effective in rural areas. Then there was a passage on educational planning. There was passage on saving energy of earth. It talked about reducing the use of plastic. And there was one more passage which was on Indian industrialists. So all these passages constituted 20 questions, which is half of the section. Apart from reading comprehension, there were questions on parajumbles. The parajumbles had 5 sentences, so 5 sentences given. So one had to arrange those 5 sentences and give the correct order. There was error spotting questions. So a sentence was broken into 4 parts and one had to spot in which part does the sentence have an error. There was questions on correct form of sentence. A sentence was written in 4 different ways and one had to choose the correct use of the sentence. There was one word substitution. A phrase was given and one had to give the correct one had to give the one word for that sentence. There were 4 questions on essence of text, which is basically a para summary, and there were 3 questions on fill in the blanks. All such questions had 2 blanks each. So English section was easy to moderate. If one could have easily read 3 reading comprehension passages in the given amount of time, if one would have spent say around 25 to 30 minutes in the section, he could have done at least 3 passages and the remaining questions. Now moving on to the intelligence and critical reasoning section, it was a mixed bag of questions. It had 3 puzzles which were very easy. The first puzzle was a scheduling puzzle in which there were 5 brands that conducted a promotion with 5 superheroes, and they were on 5 different days. So that was very easy. There was another scheduling puzzle on country heads visiting 6 different cities of India. Again, this was very easy puzzle. All the information was given in the statements itself, so one could have easily solved these 2. And there was a circular seating arrangement. There were 6 toddlers sitting in a circle facing inside, and all of them like different colors. So again, these 3 were very easy questions, easy sets. So one could have easily scored 15 marks by just solving these 3 sets. And apart from that, there were some questions on critical reasoning, which were assertion, reason. There were 3 categories of questions in critical reasoning: assertion, reason, statement, conclusion, and cause effect. Around 18 to 20 questions from that part. And then there were miscellaneous questions such as direction, sense, blood relations, etc., coding, decoding, etc. So all in all, the puzzles part was the easiest in this section. So if one would have attempted those 3 puzzles, could have easily solved those in lesser amount of time as compared to the rest of the section. Now when we come to the mathematics part, so it had questions from all topics. It touched all topics, no topic was left uncovered. So there were 4 to 5 questions from numbers and averages, speed, distance, time 5 to 6, ratio, proportion, alligation and mixture. It was in good number, around 7 to 8 questions from these topics, 5 to 6 questions from time and work. Percentage profit loss was another topic which was asked in good numbers. partnerships, then we had questions from simple and compound interest, and as well as from permutation, combinations and probability. So questions were asked from all topics of mathematics, so it tested you on all topics. Now talking about the data analysis and sufficiency, this section had mostly set questions apart from one of the sets. So there was a job scheduling caselet which was the most difficult in this section. It took a lot of time, and moreover the questions of this set were not in a consecutive manner. So that was the most difficult set in this paper. And there were then there were a double pie chart DI, wherein income and expenses of a family were given. One pie chart had incomes of different members of the family, and then there was a pie chart of expenses of the family. Then there was a table on marks of students. It was again an easy one. There was a bar graph on earning of workers, again an easy set. Line graph on import by 3 companies, line that involved just addition, subtraction. That was the easiest of the set, so you just had to add, subtract or find averages. So those were very direct questions from this set. And there was a line plus pie. There was a combined DI of line and pie chart. So the line graph had incomes of 6 friends, whereas the pie chart had the expenditure of one of the friends. So questions were based on it. And then the remaining portion was data sufficiency and quantity comparison. So all in all, the most of the questions in this section were easy, except the job scheduling DI, which was very difficult. Harshvardhan, we will make videos on CMAT as well about questions and important topics. We will have videos on that as well. Please do subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on any important videos that we create for the upcoming examinations. When we talk about the Indian and global environment, which is the general awareness section, all of it was current affairs. So all 40 questions were from current affairs. Mostly the questions were asked from October, and questions as recent as December were asked. So those who are planning to take MAT in February 2020, it is advised that please go through current affairs, because it is a very scoring section. Although they don't actually count your marks for that, but yes, some colleges do accept your scores in this section. And most of the questions were from appointments, awards and honors, sports, etc. So now talking about the number of good attempts as per our analysis. So when we talk about language comprehension, attempts of somewhere around 22 to 24 with say 80% accuracy should be considered as a good attempt. One could have solved 2 to 3 passages and attempted some 10 to 15 other miscellaneous questions. So 22 to 24 should be considered as a good attempt. Intelligence and critical reasoning, again somewhere around 20 to 22. So the puzzles were the easiest. So even if you would have solved 2 of the 3 puzzles, which were very easy, you could have fetched 10. You could have done 10 questions, and if you managed to solve 10 to 12 questions from the remaining portion, that should have been a good attempt. Mathematical skills, I would say 25 to 27, because most of the aspirants would have spent their time solving this section. Although there was no sectional timing, ideally a person would have spent 40 to 45 minutes on this section. So around 25 to 27 should be considered as a good attempt, and generally aspirants love solving mathematical questions. So it is obvious that the number of good attempts would be high in this section. Then talking about data analysis and sufficiency, I would say it was somewhat moderate, and 18 to 20 would have been good attempts. And talking about Indian and global environment section, 23 to 26 should have been good attempts, because most of the questions, all the questions were from current affairs, and if you have been preparing for other examinations as well or preparing for interviews, you must be thorough with those news, and you should have been able to attempt those many questions. Okay guys, so this was the analysis of the exam that was conducted today. So please subscribe to our channel for the upcoming exam analysis. We'll be conducting exam analysis of SNAP tomorrow and the coming examinations that will be held, and we'll also discuss the results and other videos. So please do subscribe to our channel, share this channel with your friends, so that whosoever in your circle is preparing for MBA examinations, they get the important notifications, exam analysis, study tips and other preparation material. Thank you guys, and have a nice day.